What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Again, I am Kyle with Limitless Powersports Service and Repair. If you've been following me, we got a 2005 R6 here behind me. We have adjusted the valves on it. We've done the regular rectifier on it, checked the stator and the charging system on this thing. That should have been part one and part two. Now what we're going to run you through is how to sync the throttle bodies on this thing. Really simple job. You get yourself a nice set of sync gauges. Doesn't have to be anything elaborate, just 4 vacuum gauges. And I'll show you guys where to hook those up on here, which screws to turn, and how to sync 1 and 2 carb together, or I should say throttle body together, 3 and 4 throttle body together, and then you sync the 2 banks together, which is throttle body 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 into 1, so they're all pulling the same vacuum. So we're gonna jump into that right now. All right, guys, you can see we got the air box removed. We never put it back on after doing the valve adjustment and valve check on this thing. Everything turned out great. When you do a throttle body sync, you definitely want to check your valves. That way you make sure they're all in spec. That way you know that the same vacuum is being pulled in each cylinder. Down here on the back side, you can see this little T. This is your vacuum hoses. This connects, I believe, throttle body 1 and 3, and then you have one over here on the other side that connects 2 and 4. What we'll do, we'll pull that T out and we'll plug our sync gauges into that, and we'll fire this thing up and we'll see what kind of vacuum each one of these is pulling. Now, this throttle body 1 is where the throttle body connects. This is your master throttle body. So basically what that does, you have to turn this screw down in here. Might not be able to see. Let me grab a flashlight for you guys real quick. Just slowly turn this screw down in here until you match the vacuum of 1. You'll match throttle body number 2 to throttle body number 1. And then over here, between throttle body 3 and 4, there's another screw. And what you'll do, you'll basically match, you'll turn that, and that should match throttle body number 4 to throttle body number 3. Now you have these 2 banks, what they call them banks, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. These are considered your banks. And this one in the middle here, you'll turn that until both of these banks are pulling the same amount of vacuum. And then you'll give it a few revs, flick it a few times, and make sure they're pulling the same vacuum all the way across the board. And then go ahead, once they're doing all that, you may have to adjust the idle a little bit on this thing after they're sunk together, which is not a big deal. Just move your idle adjustment. And I think idle on this thing is about 1200, I think is what it is. Don't quote me on that 100%. I have to double check on that. But then we'll go ahead and jump into this and get these things stuck together, and we'll see what we got. All right, I know it's kind of a crappy angle for you guys, but we got cylinder 1, 2, 3, and 4. And how we get this needle to stop bouncing, we'll turn these little knobs here, which lessens the vacuum and the pulsing of that. So now what we'll go ahead and do, we'll go ahead and fire this thing up. Hopefully my light will stay in place while it's running. We'll fire this up and we'll see what the throttle bodies look like here. I got to dial that one back a little bit to get the bouncing to go away. Same thing with the middle one. Now I can tell, looks like, I'll move it off to the side here. Now you guys can see that throttle body 1 and 2 are really close. 3 and 4 are pretty far off, and the banks aren't too bad. So let's go ahead and reach all the way over here to this side. We'll turn this screw and we'll see what we can do with throttle body number 4. I'm gonna be able to get myself in there. You can see that 3 and 4 are very close now. 1 and 2 really close also. But we want to make sure our banks are exactly the same. So we're going to go ahead I'm going to turn the first screw here also, see if I can't get 1 and 2 a little bit closer. There we go. Now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and turn this middle screw and try to sink the 2 banks as close together as I can. You'll hear it kind of idle down a little bit because I keep pushing on the screw. So that time I went the wrong way, so I have to go ahead and go back the other. Whoop, I killed it that time. You can see the two banks are really far off. Definitely gonna have to up the idle here a little bit. There we go. Now, looks like throttle body number 4 is still a little bit off now. Closer. Screwdriver's so hard to get in here. Let's go ahead and tighten up 1 so it stops bouncing. 2, whoop, and 1, really close. 3 will open up again. 4 will close down a little bit. 4 is just a smidge off yet. And now 4 and 3 are really close, but you can see the banks are off. So we'll go ahead and go back to the banks. Turn that in a hair. Probably just a hair too much. I don't know about you guys, that looks really, really close. I'll go back in just to... There we go, that looks really, really good. You can see all that. We'll give it a few flicks of the throttle. That looks really good. All right, guys, so basically all 4 of our throttle bodies are pulling the same vacuum. You saw that I had to adjust this one 3 and 4 a few times, and I had to sink the banks together a few more times. It's kind of a pain, but we got it all together. Now we just put the air box back on, put all the hoses back there, our secondary air injection, our atmosphere vents for our throttle bodies, put the air box pressure sensor in, bolt everything back up, take it for a ride. Guys, that's how you sync a pair of throttle bodies. Same thing with carburetors, does the same thing. Again, if you got any questions about ATVs, UTVs, or motorcycles, shoot me an email at limitlesspowersports78@gmail.com. Leave a comment down below. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.